now we're very happy to be welcoming some new first-timers to the show. We have Keith Yandell, Tobias Enders, and Jason Moulden of FORTÉ, who are here to talk to us about how AI is transforming the workplace. So, gentlemen, welcome.
Yeah, glad to be here.
How's the build-up going for you so far? Are you ready? Are you prepared?
We are ready. Yep, we just went by the booth a minute ago to check on it. We're at 2P700, cool. Really excited for this week. We're also in the Europa suite, ready to have customers join us with different panel discussions and all kinds of fun. Really looking forward to it.
Excellent. And did you go for the traditional booth build, or did you go for the Disney sort of magic that we were trying earlier?
Did you need me?
I'm available. We don't have any singing capabilities, if that's what you're doing.
You never know.
Very impressive.
They ask us to do a lot.
We had to do it by hand.
Okay. Probably the traditional way.
Yes.
Traditional. Fine. Okay. So we couldn't possibly talk about technology and AV and all that kind of stuff without mentioning AI. Of course, it's a term that everyone's talking about. So when people hear AI-powered workplace, it can sound a little bit abstract. So in real terms, what's actually changing day to day for employees right now, would you say?
Yeah, I think right now we are in a very interesting field and in a transition phase, I would say. So we're moving from very experimental approach into more an embedded experience. What happened the last years was more behind the scenes, what IT does on the AI. And what we're now seeing is really affecting the end users with things like facilitator and meeting note-taking, Copilot coming into the meeting space. So that's really what we think. And this is ready for mass adoption at scale. And I think this is really beneficial for most of the users.
Yeah. And just going off of that continued conversation about AI being so abstract, we're here, we love tangible things. So are there any customer experiences or examples that you can share with us about how AI has really changed the way how people are working in a measurable way?
Sure. I think we have the luxury as well within our industry. We can look both at the room environment as well as the user environment. So I'm going to take an example of how AI is impacting our core industry, if you will, in rooms. Tobias just mentioned it, a product like Facilitator, where we're no longer requiring someone in the meeting to be able to take notes. We can rely on the AI component to do that. We have to remember it's not just that we're gaining the participation of that individual back into the meeting, we're also dealing with availability. If you think about regular meeting taking notes, how long is it before that person has time to transcribe and share? We have immediate sharing. So if we think about the room standpoint, that is a great benefit. But if we think about the user side, which within FORTÉ we track as well because it's part of the same ecosystem for AI, we also have other gains when we're thinking about organizations, and we've done this internally. Think of a case in which you have a limited number of resources in a certain department, and they get the same question over and over. So we've gone to the point of building agents within our environment to help that small group of individuals better serve the larger community. And so the simple things or the repetitive things can go away, and we've done that through the form of AI agents. And it gives more time for the human element. So we're actually getting time back, and that's the benefit to AI on the user space. So very effective, very near term, real examples that we have for how AI is changing our workflows.
And do you find that it's kind of multiplying as you add more and more AI components? It's really kind of multiplying the effect as you go?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely stacks.
Yeah.
And the best way I can describe it is, if we think about AI, it really gets work out of the way of other work.
Yeah.
It simplifies. I mean, we all use it to co-create. I'm assuming you guys are using AI to co-create in your day-to-day. It's such a useful tool in that area.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting. It's a quote that I always bring up because it was something that I really liked, and it was when AI was in that phase of people really terrified that it's going to take everyone's jobs and all that kind of thing. And the quote was something along the lines of, AI isn't going to take your job. Somebody who learns about AI and learns to harness it is the person that's going to take your job. So it's still going to require that human element, right?
Exactly right. It's a tool.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the most surprising way you've seen AI adopted inside an organization, something customers didn't expect when they started, would you say?
I would say, well, first, you have to give your workforce the tools they need to be successful. And it's never a one and done. You don't just release these tools and say, good luck. It takes continued touch points, and we call it change management. So we have to help users, and we're talking all different generations. So you have younger generations, older generations. Their willingness to try new things varies, and we have to give them tools to embrace these new ways of doing things, and it's called change management. So that would be really the first, because if you don't give them access to the tools, they're likely going to go find them some other way, and that could put your organization at risk, getting intellectual property in the wrong hands kind of thing.
I think from our standpoint, the surprise wasn't the application, the surprise was the user. So within our environment and some of our customers as well, we found success with the use of AI in some strange places. Legal, for instance. Fencing data so that they had case information that could be searched internally. Our finance team became a massive adopter of AI because they realized that they would be able to get more work done. And to your point earlier about losing or protecting jobs, they were able to accomplish more work with the same number of people, so they provided a better environment for the employees we had. So our surprise has actually been who has been the user of AI. The applications are varied, they're going to change by organization, but that was really our big change, was seeing the individuals latch on. We expected the tech sector was going to be the heavy adopter, and it wasn't. It was actually quite the opposite. So that was fascinating for us.
That's very interesting, yeah.
That's really great. And then yes, continuing with that idea of change management, a lot of companies, at first were really fearful, as we had just discussed, but then they're starting to adopt it and incorporating into their own existing, organizations. But we do know that there's a little bit of a difference between adoption and actually having real impact when incorporating an AI into your organizations. And so where are you really seeing companies get the most value from utilizing AI today, and how are they really making sure that their teams continue to stick to it and using those platforms to really enhance their work?
I mean, the first thing we saw was using AI for, call it, knowledge retrieval. So it almost overnight replaced what you would typically use Google for or something like that. It's a much more efficient way to get knowledge, if you will, knowledge retrieval. On the change management side, another way that we've accelerated adoption is gamification. So Copilot Cup. So we launched an internal competition in the organization challenging our employees, come at us with the most creative use for Copilot or for AI in general, not just limited to Copilot. And so that really gets people excited and gets them engaged, and we start to see much greater consumption of these tools and more efficiencies for our workforce.
I feel like this whole conversation is like around the Olympics and gamification, like this is the week of sporting analogy. I love that though.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've also just conducted a research study recently, and it was 500 IT decision makers, which is obviously always fantastic to get that information and kind of really try and use it for sort of like future strategies. Were there any findings that genuinely surprised you from that study?
The one that stuck out to me, the most glaring data point, was that today, even with as great as our technology is, unreliable room experiences was top of the list.
Oh wow!
So it was almost 5,000 data points that we captured, and the overarching metric was unnecessary complexity in meeting rooms. So we're still seeing that today as an issue.
Well, and it also leads to another point, Keith. When we're thinking about that lack of reliability, one of the things we're obviously promoting is we want the maximum amount of data available in the room. And so what we're trying to encourage our customers is don't think about the short-term cost of the room. Think about the long-term cost to that study of not having eyes on the room or not being able to determine if there's a challenge. We can't surmise based on the survey, but there's a good reason to believe that potentially that unreliability factor is based on not knowing what's happening in the room, or the room not having the technology that communicates with the larger ecosystem. Keith and I both, and Tobias as well, we're both become very hungry for a lot of data that we look at in the rooms. And so when we go to recommend or select a product for a customer, it is highly data driven because we want to make sure, can we maintain the best experience, but what are the outcomes that are also driven from that right choice of technology?
Yeah. And I think organizations need to really help their user base to use the rooms. That's still the struggle that we see. And you can have all the AI tools, so we don't need more AI. We need better user education and more reliable infrastructure to run this AI, and meeting room technology is a prime example. So deploy at speed and scale is super important.
And I'd imagine thinking that long term is also helping to save the organization some money in the end, as well as helping to future-proof, what's going to be coming next. So they don't always have to keep, continuously changing and making those changes.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it's also really interesting when you have that data to use, you can really find where you are on that scale of less is more, but we need more, do we have enough?
Yeah.
Because I think, especially for people like us who use that kind of AV technology and the meeting room technology every day, we get really passionate about it, and because we understand it really deeply. Whereas if you drop someone into a room who isn't a technical person but knows that they need an experience but not exactly what the experience is or how to do it, you really need to tailor that room to them, and getting that feedback of this is too complicated, this is too much, this is not enough, I would like this, is really valuable, right, as you move forward.
If you think about also too, if we think about the impact on facilities, what AI can do for those facilities managers. Think of the individual that still has to walk the rooms and check the rooms on a schedule. We have tools available, why not take advantage and boil that up, so if I do have to make a targeted visitor for support, it's for a specific need. And again, without data, that doesn't happen, so we have to keep that in the back of our mind.
Yep, fantastic.
Well, wonderful. Once again, I wish we had more time. This is such an interesting conversation, and we really appreciate what you've shared with us as well as the audience here. So give us your booth number once more so we can make sure people go and stop by.
2P700.
Fantastic. So thank you all so much for joining us again, and we can't wait to check out your booth.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thank you.